equipment here. But we got a chance to watch them in their scout, and they watched the film right here in this nice arena.
Third postseason appearance in the last 4 years for Loyola Chicago. How about the first time in program history for San Jose State hosting a postseason game here tonight?
It is terrific. They only have one postseason win in their history.
And San Jose State with the ball to begin tonight's action. Here is Donavan on his way to the hole. Bounces it inside for Loyola. Blocked from behind. Second try blocked again, and the third not there. Another offensive rebound. That's 2 blocks by Miles Rubin inside for Loyola Chicago. Yap is blocked inside by Jaden Dawson.
That's a good first start defensively for the Ramblers.
Starting 5 here for Loyola Chicago. Watson and Dawson with Sheldon Edwards, who you talked about, 1-3 away from 100. Miles Rubin already with 2 blocks, and Kamani Wawinsu running the point here for this Ramblers team.
Miles Rubin, he's now a sophomore, the young man from Chicago Simeon, a terrific rim protector and lob catcher.
Foul Latrell Davis for San Jose State. Here's Edwards.
Nice.
Trying to get it to Wawinsu. It's taken away. Aduje. And a foul on the rebound. And it's going against Loyola Chicago.
And right off the bat, Spartans have had a lot of opportunities at the rim. Take a look at Aduje getting to the rim. And that ball's going to be taken out of bounds. You got a shot blocker in Rubin that makes a huge difference for that Rambler defense.
Here's Yap, puts up a 3, and that's good.
35% shooter, the point guard. It's an interesting team, Mike Corey, because he's at 30 this year, but he's not alone on this Spartan roster.
How about already more points on that shot that he had all in the last game in 36 minutes of action, just 2 points.
I'd say that's a good start.
Des Watson feeds it inside. What a pass to Rubin.
Rubin's, how about this? 80% of Rubin's shots are going to be just like that, right at the rim. Shooting nearly 70% from the field.
Coach Valentine had so many good things to say about Rubin, a guy that he kept home in Chicago.
Yep, good student, great student. A Simeon kid, which, as everyone knows who follows basketball, one of the great high school programs in the country.
Another 3. This one goes in for Sadadrian Hall.
He's another one of those 4 players on this team that's had over 30 this year. And in the Mountain West, no other team had more than 1 guy that scored 30, so there's a lot of firepower right here.
That is incredible. That's a crazy stat that this San Jose State team has, and you can't really be fooled by that 15 and 19 record that you're seeing on the screen. They're off to a good start here as Aduje misses, and it's picked up by Loyola Chicago.
Oh, he's got to shoot that.
Edwards, he does, in and out.
Surprised Sheldon hesitated. Such a good shooter.
Latrell Davis working his way through traffic, and it's 8-2 San Jose State.
This is a terrific start for the Spartans. They're playing with energy right now. You can feel it in the arena.
Watson hands back off for Wawinsu.
Wawinsu is not a 3-point shooter. He's going to post you up at that power point guard position. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. We call that the Barkley. Also made famous by a guy named Jalen Brunson at Villanova, who was a great post-up guard.
Three and a half minutes gone by, first half here from Provident Credit Union Event Center in San Jose, California. Foul line jumper's good by Yap. That's a hot start.
Yeah, that's supposed to be that low percentage shot, that in-between jumper, but I love that. Came off the ball screen, got into the high paint, and had lots of room.
He's 2 of 3 from the field with 5 points here early. And that's going to be a foul. And it's called on Yap, and it takes us to our first timeout of the night.
Well, let's take a look at Latrell Davis, young man from Leeds, England, who's right now leading this team. Strong to the hoop. Good start right here for the Spartans at home.
The 2025 National Invitation Tournament is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Back in San Jose, California here tonight for round 1 coverage with the Spartans and the Ramblers. Right now it's a 10-4 lead for San Jose State. How about Robert Viola, and one of the best big guys in the Mountain West?
Yeah, we talk about all the scoring that the Spartans have. This young man is kind of the key to their offense. Excellent passer. You can see the rebound numbers. He's had 19 rebounds in a game this year, 7 blocks. And you know what you like about him? He grew up 30 miles up the road, and he's back home after transferring from Fresno. Very, very important piece of this team.
Yep, San Mateo, California, where he's from. 10 points, 11 boards in the last game for this San Jose State team as Watson knocks down the jumper. They come off the New Mexico loss in the Mountain West tournament.
You'll see Viola right here with the ball. Good screen. He'll post up inside.
It's over to Davis now for the Spartans with a 4-point lead here early. Off the screen for Viola, trying to get it back. Somebody got knocked away by Jalen Quinn, and then out of bounds. And it'll stay with San Jose State.
Yeah, what makes Viola so difficult to guard is that he's such a wide body. He takes up a lot of space. Watch how they tried to get it into him right here. And fortunately, Ramblers knocked it out of bounds. 5 on the shot clock.
So Yap to put it in. Here's Hall. Watson for 3. Got it.
And that young man off to a good start. The Davidson transfer, played a couple years there.
He's got 5 points in this first half so far, and his production from Davidson in 2 years, 29 3-pointers for him. Now in the 2 years at Loyola Chicago, 122.
Yes. There you see Viola just on cue now. They've got the perimeter scoring, but they love to play through the big fella. You know, I'm going to go old school on you here, Mike Corey. Kind of reminds me with that hairdo, a little bit of Wes Unseld.
Yeah.
The great Washington Bullet.
It's a good one.
Well, he was only 6'7", and he was a NBA Hall of Famer. And,
finally, big guys playing down low. We're going to work. Back to the basket.
You know, the game's changing, but every now and then it cycles back to guys like this that can take up a lot of space inside, no question.
Jalen Deloach was called for the foul for Loyola Chicago. And here's Quinn.
Oh, they had Deloach inside.
Quinn hands it off for Dawson. That's a 3. That one's good.
Really nice set right there. Ran that set all the way through to be able to get a little down screen for Dawson. And he's got a pure shooting stroke.
74 threes on the season for him, and that's second behind his teammate Edwards. And now Loyola Chicago has a 1-point lead. Aduje dumps it inside. Viola.
Good look right there. You come off that screen, a guy can score. It brings a little bit of defensive help, and Viola is the recipient.
One thing you got to be aware of is all these shooters out there on the court for Loyola Chicago. Always looking to spot up, like right here. It's up, no good that time from Francis Oporia. Offensive rebound. A block by Viola inside on Watson's offering.
Not a surprise. He can do that. He mentioned earlier he had 7 in a game. But watch the big fella first, working down low. Little head fake. And then getting it done on the defensive end. Good job of not fouling right there, not leaving his feet too soon.
He's going to take a seat on the bench here. And Joel Marial is in for the first time, and Edwards knocking down the three-pointer. 100 now on the season for him.
Great set play right there. Little DHO, dribble handoff coming out of the corner. But you could tell how confident he is because that was a pure catch-and-shoot look.
Yes, it was. Already adding on to his single-season record that he has for the Ramblers. Previous mark was 85 in a season. He's got 100. So Kanganga works it inside here from Marial. Little short rebound to Loach.
Ramblers starting to get their rhythm now offensively.
2-point lead here for Quinn. And Deloach gets it back out. Squaring up on Marial. Deloach, who you and I saw last year at Georgia in the NIT.
Great addition to this Rambler team. It's like picking up a free agent NBA vet. Been around, was an all-conference A-10 player at VCU. And Drew Valentine couldn't say enough great things about this young man and what he means to this team on and off the court.
Yep, said he's an excellent teammate. He's been great with us, too, every time I see him. Got a smile on his face saying hello. Looking forward to just getting out there and having some fun, which he's done this year with this Ramblers team. Catches it now.
Well, Deloach wasn't ready for that.
Quinn. That got redirected, and it's out of bounds off of Loyola Chicago.
Well, Sheldon Edwards, we mentioned he is a go-to scorer. Watch this catch and shoot. Beautiful release. And then the big fella, Deloach, the transfer from Georgia, getting it done inside as well. 8-2 run by the Ramblers. Here they come.
This looks bad, Harris. We're probably gonna have to amputate.
I'll get some 3D images to see how bad it really is.
I don't care how many Ds you use. His career's over.
Relax, Coach. There's no tear. He'll be fine.
Amazing.
Innovation changes everything.
What about Bobby?
Nah.
With one investment, you can access the NASDAQ 100 innovators who are rethinking the world. Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
And cut.
Can we fix that?
We got it. Good job.
Ellen would like an ice cream.
The NCAA Women's Basketball Championship first round begins on Friday. Our ESPN games start at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Kentucky and Liberty. You got Stephen F. Austin and Notre Dame. And then #1 seeded South Carolina hosting Tennessee Tech. That's coming up at 4 o'clock with the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship presented by Capital One. Some really good games going on out there. I know you're interested in Harvard as well,
Michigan
too.
State,
Huh?
yeah. Harvard's a 10 seed. Carrie Moore. Coach Carrie Moore has just done an excellent job. That's a dangerous game for the Spartans. You haven't seen Harmony Turner. She just dropped 44 in an Ivy League playoff game, and that is a fun team. Of course, Harvard, the first 16 seed to ever knock off a 1 seed back in '98 when they knocked off Stanford. But the great Allison Feaster is now an executive with the Boston Celtics. You want to know Harvard women's basketball, Mike?
You are the guy.
Right place.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Here's the three-pointer on the way. That's good for Washington and Jermaine Washington.
Like this kid, freshman, plays for Compton Magic, which is one of the premier grassroots programs in the country. Got good friends down there, and they love this kid here.
Edwards back the other way.
Is that a pure shooting stroke?
Yes.
Is that a pure shooting stroke or what? What is he, 101 right now?
He's got 101.
He's going down the 101 freeway if he keeps this up.
That's right. Well, they started 0 for 2, and they've hit 4 of their last 5 from three-point range. Marial for 3. That's no good. Rebound by Laporia.
Really like the way the Ramblers move the ball right now.
Willinsu. Wide open. Laporia for 3. That one's no good. Willinsu with a tip. It doesn't go, and Miles Rubin has it.
Miles is stuck.
Again, Edwards.
Oh, that's beautiful.
How about that? Wakoria with a great rebound. Dawson for three. How many more chances are they going to get? Wakoria again. Now Wakoria puts up the three. That's so good.
It's like a carnival.
Yeah.
The ball is too big for the rim.
You know, I figured after all the offensive boards he got, he was going to drain that one, but yeah, blocked by Dawson. That's 4 blocks already now for Loyola Chicago on the defensive end.
That was a good no call because Yap forced that contact.
Falling down is Wakoria. Traveling violation, but how about defensively? Loyola Chicago getting after it in the interior.
Well, we know Miles Rubin can block a shot or two, but take a look right here. Now you got guards blocking shots. Good job by Dawson. And fun action, Mike. These two teams are hyped up. I think it's like 11:15 or so,
right.
11:30 on the East Coast.
Yep.
We're out here on the West Coast. A lot of energy for this time of night.
Well, this Loyola Chicago team has won 8 of the last 10 games. They fell in the semifinals to Atlantic 10 eventual champion VCU that's in the NCAA tournament as Hall gets the basket here for San Jose State.
Day-Day Hall, they compare him, this is old school, we mentioned Wes Unseld, to Adrian Dantley, who was a tremendous NBA player. Notre Dame.
Watson comes back with a 2 for the Ramblers. They lead by 4.
You were at the A-10 tournament. He had 25 in that quarterfinal against the Billikens.
Yeah, that's a career high for him too as well for Watson. Here's Hall.
Yep.
Foul counted.
There he is. We told you Adrian Dantley. Go look him up. YouTube him. Power move right here. Only 6'5", but watch him post. And he knows what he's doing in there. You can tell. Just watch him operate. And he's very comfortable at that 6'5" size. You know, Dantley played his whole NBA career at about 6'5", 6'6". And Mike, we talked about this earlier. It's rare to have 4 guys on your team that can go get 30. Take a look at the that. That's pretty impressive, really.
Davis, Aduje, Yap, and Hall. I mean, the rest of the Mountain West, you know, the most any other team would have was 1 player with 30 points. They have 4. Rubin on the feed from Edwards.
Yeah, terrific. That's what we call a wide pin down. And when Edwards comes off, he's such a good shooter that Rubin's man's got to commit a little bit. And that opens up the basket for Miles, who only shoots now about 70% from the field.
See Drew Valentine on the sideline, just coaching up his team, going back and forth down there. There's one thing, he just goes over everything, his entire staff. They leave no stone left unturned in their scouting report and their preparation game in and game out.
There's a reason for that. He spent a lot of time under Porter Moser. Nobody is more organized at scouting reports than Porter Moser, the Oklahoma coach who's got his team in the NCAA tournament. And Moser learned it from Rick Majerus.
Watson misses on the 3.
I want to explain that scouting report stuff later. Get into more detail about what we're talking about.
His Ramblers are up by 3 here with 7:40 to go in this first half. 3-pointer for the tie. It's good. And San Jose State and Aduje with his first points of the night.
Very fun first 13 minutes. Teams are operating fundamentally through their offense, getting good shots.
6 different players have scored for San Jose State. They're 4 or 5 in 3-point range, and Hall gets a steal.
Yeah, not a good look by Quinn. Too much traffic inside, trying to find a big fella.
Fun game, competitive, kind of the way we thought coming into this matchup.
Yeah.
Washington guarded by Edwards. Shot clock is at 5. Aduje well up by half court. Lost the handle. Shot clock violation takes us to a timeout.
Terrific defense right there. Let's take a look now. We got some guys really hooping tonight. Miles Rubin The sophomore, the big fella from Simeon, getting it done down low. And how about Aduje, Joshua Aduje, another young man from London, England. He's getting it done. We're having fun out here on the West Coast.
Okay, ladies, eyes on the tape.
Happy little tree that lives.
Who recorded over my game footage?
And he's a strong little tree. And he's got.
I just love his voice. Great, it's lost forever now, Dawn! Coach, relax. I've got it saved in the cloud.
Innovation changes everything.
The cloud?
With one investment, you can access the NASDAQ 100 innovators who are rethinking the world.
Really, Dawn?
Before investing carefully, read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
The head coach of Loyola Chicago, the incredible run that they had to the Final Four.
Yes, and Porter, of course, went on to Oklahoma, where he's got his team in the NCAA tournament. That was an incredible run. Clayton Custer, Lucas Williamson, tremendous Clayton Krutwig. There you see Coach Moser. Drew Valentine was an assistant on that staff. They elevated him, and you could see all those incredible games that got them to the Final Four, where they eventually lost to Michigan. Of course, Villanova blew out everybody in that tournament. That was the Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. And I've known this young man's family. I coached against Dad Carlton when he was at Michigan State. Of course, Denzel was the National Player of the Year. And I got to watch him coach in his first year, and he's got the it factor. Players like him, really well schooled by Porter Moser. And I've never been around anybody more detailed when it comes to scouting reports than Porter. And that's, you know, part of the MO of this Rambler team.
It's certainly what Coach Valentine has continued here, and he talked about it with us before the game. Nice speed inside, and blowing the dunk that's on Laporia. Couldn't get it to go down, and Aduje the other way for San Jose State. Not there, tapped around to Loach has it.
These guys better look up. Got to try to throw it down, and you got to make some contact right here. That's a push in the back. They missed, but
yeah, I thought he got fouled.
Yeah.
Coach Valentine was talking about, Fran, committed to the culture up on their wall.
Well, that's part of the, you know, the Moser way, right? He just changed it a little bit. And Tim Miles has built a great culture here.
Yes.
This program has got very, very little winning tradition.
Interception. Jalen Quinn. And foul, count to basket.
Nicely done. Quinn, excellent off the bench. He gets it out in transition. And he's off to the races. Take a look. Terrific sixth man for this team. Not a great three-point shooter or free throw shooter, but strong and athletic.
Washington with the foul. For the fifth straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships.
Well, when we're not doing NIT games, we're going to be watching a lot of basketball the next 3 weeks.
A lot of coverage on the networks here for sure, no doubt. Here's Viola with the offensive board. No good. A foul is called.
I mentioned about Tim Miles. This is a guy that has taken over this program, what, 6 postseasons, I think, in its history. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since '96. And he's brought, you talk about culture, they don't have a lot of the resources here that a San Diego State or a Boise State has, but highly competitive this year. Had to deal with injuries. Don't worry about the record. They're winning more now than they ever have. You can see Mountain West Coach of the Year. And how many, 6 games, I think?
Yeah, 8 games decided by 6 points or less.
6 in conference.
Right.
In a league that's put almost the whole league in the postseason.
I think a lot of coaches and a lot of programs this year could point to a couple of games, 2 or 3 here and there, and all of a sudden that record is flipped.
Yeah.
And you're in a much different situation. There was a couple of games where they were up by 20 and 17 points respectively in conference and lost.
San Diego State.
Yeah.
No, they really have done a great job, Tim Miles has, of rebuilding this program.
Stepping on the baseline out of bounds was Wowinsu.
Now, remember, this young man is not a pure point guard. He had to fill in for Justin Moore, who was hurt after 9 games. He's 6'7", playing point. He's got great vision, but every now and then he can get sloppy.
Well, and that's the other thing, Fran, about both of these two teams having to deal with injuries throughout their entire season. Even to get to this point, it's admirable. Aduje inside, and San Jose State has the lead back, 28-27.
They like to play through Ruben up high. We call it that zoom offense, 5 out.
Here's Wowinsu with a jumper, no good. Rebound by Hall.
Well, not his strength. They're going to let Wowinsu shoot that all night long.
Aduje blocked and fouled, and heading to the line here for 2.
What I like about this young man is how physically he is going to the basket. Take a look right here. He is seeking contact and not avoiding it, and he's going to get a chance to be rewarded with 2 free throws.
Edwards on his first foul of the game and the 5th team foul for Loyola Chicago. And Josh Aduje, who was a 3rd-team All-Mountain West selection in his first season with the team last year, was the 6th man of the year in conference play when he was at Utah State.
Yeah, it's and before that he started at Coastal Carolina. So he's kind of a poster child for what we see in college basketball right now. And they had a coaching change at Utah State. Danny Sprinkle left. Jared Calhoun came in, but he was comfortable here. He knew some of the guys that played here. And he is a good Mountain West player.
7 points on the night, 1 behind his teammate Hall for the team lead. Oh, look out, Miles Rubin.
That's a Rubin sandwich right there. Whew.
30-29, San Jose State leading by 1.
See that screen by Viola?
And it frees up Washington for the 3.
That's what we call a dribble handoff. And he just basically blocked the sun out right there with that screen. I'm impressed with the Spartans. They play with great energy.
They've got a 4-point lead here with 3.5 to go in the first half. Watson gets it back. Tough one, not there. Offensive rebound, and Wakoria's got it again.
He's active. He really has been, Francis. I like Francis.
Yep.
You know why? I like that name.
That's a good one. That's 6 offensive rebounds, make it 7 so far in this first half, and it ends up with points as he hits the 3.
Absolutely. Dominating that glass. They kick it back out. Get yourself a dagger 3 right there.
That is 8 different players now that have scored for Loyola Chicago so far here in this first half. And Wakoria, his first bucket after missing his first 4 shots from the field. And Gonga lost it, stolen away Wowinsu. Here's Edwards.
Good shot fake.
Now Watson, knocked out of his hands. It'll stay with Loyola Chicago when we return. We got a 1-point game here, Frank.
Let's take a look what's been happening. How about Rubin? This is a slam dunk, folks. Look at this. Left hand. And then right behind the screen, the big fella setting screens. And we're not done yet. Rebound, offensive rebound. Wakoria from deep. We got a game. This is fun.
Soccer is not just a game. It is the chance to live out your dreams. At Bimbo, we nourish those who dream big. Register your player at nourishdreams.com and fulfill her dream of playing at the facilities of Football Club Barcelona. Her time to shine has come. Bimbo, nourishing what makes them great.
This looks bad, Harris. We're probably gonna have to amputate.
I'll get some 3D images to see how bad it really is.
I don't care how many Ds you use. His career's over.
Relax, Coach. There's no tear. He'll be fine.
Amazing.
Innovation changes everything.
What about Bobby?
Nah.
With one investment, you can access the NASDAQ 100 innovators who are rethinking the world. Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
All right, Kevin, thanks very much here. 1-point ball game, Fran. Good one so far, 2:27 to go.
Very impressed. Both teams playing hard. Both teams executing their offense. The guys we thought that could put the ball in the basket are certainly doing that. Edwards, Uduje, been impressive. Miles Rubin, a little bit of everything.
He kicks it out to the top, and Lacoria knocks down a three.
Another one, yeah. Francis off the bench right there. The young man who, believe it or not, transferred after 3 years at UC San Diego. How have they done this year? Pretty good. Going to the tournament in their first year of eligibility.
Washington for three. That is no good. Rebound by Rubin. Winner of this game gets the winner of San Francisco and Utah Valley. That is going on right now up the road in San Francisco. San Fran leads that game by 7 with under 4 to go in the first half.
I like the way this team moves the ball. We call this a zoom offense. 5 out, play through the center at the top of the key. He's usually a handoff guy and a roller to the rim. And then you get that when you roll hard to the rim. Good job. Excellent execution.
That's happened a couple times tonight.
Yes, it has. That's part of their offense. Hey, I know she's probably sleeping, but if you're up, Sister Jean, we always are thinking about you. I know you know this area well because you were born in San Francisco. But if she's sleeping, send her our regards.
No doubt. 105 years old. Yep. Sister Jean from Loyola, Chicago. As Rubin had just dunked it home from Watson. Now Watson puts up a three. That is no good.
Love the shot fake by Dez right there. They really put 4 guys out on the floor that can knock it down. Not so much when Quinn's out there, but he does other things well. Donavan Yap, that young man started his career at UNLV, then Fresno, and now here, watch out.
And right back the other way, it's Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn's been really good tonight. Jalen Quinn, a junior from Tuscola, Illinois. You know what I liked about that? It was a 2-for-1 situation. Right. They should get another opportunity to score.
12-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock here. 39-35 Loyola Chicago. Largest lead of this first half for them. San Jose State is led by as many as 6. Here's Hall.
That's good. They went under the screen purposely. Viola set that screen. All right, take it away, Mr. Corey.
Here we go. Watson, a step back three. He is fouled. He got bailed out with 4.5 seconds to go as Washington picks up his second personal foul.
Now this could work out for the Ramblers with 5 points in the final 40 seconds. And you see the freshman, who really at this point in the year is no longer a freshman. Remember we talked about the shot fakes? That time there was no shot fake. And Des Watson's going to get a chance to elongate this lead. Yep. Not only that, he might lengthen it as well.
So Watson's got 8 points.
Now keep this in mind, Mike, I'm sorry. When this ball gets into the court, he's going to have 5 dribbles to go coast to coast, Mike. No reason to rush and shoot a desperation shot from half court.
4.5 seconds.
5 dribbles. Got plenty of time. Now, Drew Valentine's going to make sure that he gets his big guy out. They go a little quicker. And they only have 5 team fouls. They could foul if they want.
Here we go with Yap from half court. Good if it goes.
He had more dribbles.
You called it. And a chance to maybe get a little bit closer. But Loyola.
How does they start with the ball in the second half?
Third time in the last 4 years in the postseason for this Loyola Chicago team. We talked about San Jose State. Just their 7th postseason appearance of all time. first time hosting a postseason game, second time in the NIT since 1981. This is a big deal for them.
Listen, two postseason appearances under Tim Miles. That's heroic. That's miraculous based on where this program was for a very long time. They are very competitive in the Mountain West, as we've seen this season.
Here's Rubin. Not there, rebound Viola. The only win for San Jose State in the postseason was in 2023, Miles' second season, when they won a game in the CBI. Tough pass there.
Yeah, they like to play through Viola, but that time was inaccurate.
Three-ball in transition, Jaden Dawson, and he converts.
Well, they've got that three-headed monster. We highlighted Edwards and Watson, but don't forget Dawson, who comes in as their leading scorer.
And the lead is now double digits as Dawson has 6. Viola the other way, doesn't go, trying to stay with it. And it's out of bounds off of Rubin. How about in transition, Dawson? He's a shooter.
Yeah, this young man, Jaden Dawson, who's from Mulhouse, France. Went to high school in Omaha. Nice catch and shoot. This is a guy that shoots 7 threes a game, Mike.
Foul inside, free throws coming for San Jose State. Yeah, Dawson's an all-A-10 second-team selection, and he had a stretch of 3 games this year where he had 74 points. Got him missed a little bit of time with an ankle sprain earlier. That's some of the injuries that this Loyola Chicago team has dealt with this year, but they fought throughout this season. Rubin with the foul. And the NCAA men's basketball, the Division I Women's Championship, continues with the first 4 on coming up with Columbia and Washington, High Point, William and Mary. That's tomorrow on ESPN2. The first 4 on the women's side.
I mentioned Harvard earlier, Harmony Turner and Columbia. I think Ivy League put 3 in the women's tournament this year. Highly competitive league of scholar athletes, I might mention.
Alley-oop time, Rubin.
Yeah, from Winsu right there. And that's why Miles Rubin shoots a high percentage, because he does not take shots that he normally can't make.
He's got 10. Watson's got 10. Three-pointer. Coming back for a Duje and a timeout. 47-40, the lead for Loyola Chicago. Duje comes back with a 3. We'll be back with more from San Jose after this.
Alumni right there. One has his back to you. We'll tell you about him in a second. The gentleman on the right, Mark Spears, NBA senior writer for ESPN, one of the most respected basketball writers in the country. There you see him right there. The guy that's with the hoodie on, that happens to be the last first-round pick out of San Jose State. Tariq Abdul-Wahad. We got a chance to talk to those guys at halftime. Tariq from France played at San Jose State. They went to the NCAA tournament in the mid-90s. And fun to catch up with both of those gentlemen today.
Yeah, absolutely. The first postseason game here in the history for San Jose State that they're hosting. Trying to move on to round 2 of the NIT. Here's Watson, pulls up and gets the bounce for Loyola Chicago.
Interesting timeout by Tim Miles. 2 minutes into the second half. Obviously, they score. It probably wouldn't happen with the defense. And he's not going to be happy with the defense after Rambler scored again.
Watson with the 12 points now to lead all scorers in this game. Rubin on the rebound.
Boy, they got 3 scorers out there. Play through Rubin. Really impressed with this team.
Edwards misses on the 3, and Wawinsu came in trying to get that rebound quickly the other way. It's San Jose State. Aduje, reverse. No, Edwards has it.
I think Aduje just slipped, lost his balance. Good find by Yap, the point guard. Watch how they play through Rubin. They do a lot, like right there.
The cut to Dawson.
That's what we call a flare screen. And instead of staying behind the screen for the jump shot, he just kept going because nobody guarded him on that flare screen. And Rubin, again, they use him through the high post.
It's now the largest lead of the game here for Loyola Chicago at 11 points, 51-40.
Well, they're going under Aduje on purpose. That's that scouting report defense we talked about.
Tough fade away.
Yeah.
3 doesn't go. Now time for Yap.
Yeah, some tough shots early in the second half for the Spartans.
1 for 5 from the field here in the second half. Dawson. And Latrell Davis is fouled on his way in.
Let's watch now. We talk about zoom offense. That means you play 5 out through the high post. So on this pass right here, watch the other side of the court. Flare, or that time they just hand it back off. See, that's the second look. But there's the back cut off to Flare on the first action, and an easy basket. Nice pass by Miles Rubin. What they do is when you play at the center at the high post, you play 2-man game on each side of him, on each side of the court, and Ramblers do a nice job of that.
Inside Viola doesn't go, and the rebound for Deloach. Edwards kicks it back. It's another 3. Watson, and he drains it again.
Edwards, who can shoot it, probably had a good look. But Watson had a better look, and there's really good ball movement right there.
15 points for him, and it's a 14-point Loyola Chicago advantage. Adouche fouled on his way in.
Well, this Rambler team all season, they've had different weapons. Dawson, Edwards. How about Des Watson? Catch and shoot, let it fly. They're feeling it.
Anything? Not yet. What's that?
Just streaming the game.
Innovation changes everything.
What about that?
One ETF, 100 innovators rethinking the world. Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
Well, we engineered a fast, reliable Xfinity internet.
Isn't that the best part about working here?
No, it's the uniform.
Enter for a chance to win $5,000 so you can get the ultimate live basketball streaming setup. Visit XfinityFanCave.com.
The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship first round starts tomorrow on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. 54-40 here, Fran, and Miles Rubin having a night so far for the Ramblers.
He sure is. The sophomore from Chicago, Simeon. He keeps playing like this going into next year. These Ramblers are going to be in the NCAA tournament. Terrific young big guy with good hands, very athletic, not afraid to throw it down. And again, impressed with him. You know, when you talk about Simeon High School in Chicago, you're talking about guys like Kendrick Nunn, Derrick Rose, Taylon Horton-Tucker, Nick Anderson, some really good ones. I'm going to give you one that you probably don't know much about, Mike, and maybe you do. Benji Wilson, in 1984 or so, was the #1 high school player in the country. He was LeBron. He was Kevin Durant. You name him, he was as good as anybody. Tragically, 3 days before the start of the Simeon High School season, was gunned down, innocent bystander, on his way near the high school. And those of us who remember Ben Wilson, you're talking about a guy that like Len Bias.
Right.
Could have been one of the all-time great basketball players. But Simeon, through the years, Bob Hamrick was the coach, produced some great players. D. Rose had a pretty good NBA career.
Oh, yeah. Well, that shows what Coach Valentine and the staff have been able to do to keep Rubin close to home. They'll have to be able to keep him for another couple of years.
And I think they will. You know, he's going to be a legend in Chicago when he leaves. And they'll probably have a great job, and once he gets done with pro ball, that's one of the things about the NIL that you know, you got to have it, but you also can make yourself a name for the rest of your life if you stay in one place.
I'll give a great example of that in the Atlantic 10 Conference, and a team that lost earlier today, St. Joe's, to UAB. Eric Reynolds.
Yes, all-time leading scorer.
Correct.
I think there was a guy named Jameer Nelson that was all-time.
That's who he passed.
Yes.
In 4 straight years
Yep.
at one school, and also the all-time three-point leader as well. All the best to him, but that says a lot.
Yeah.
Sticking with one place and getting it done.
And he will play professional basketball, Eric Reynolds. And then when he's done, if he wants to stay in the city of brotherly love, there's going to be enough people there that are going to employ him. That's a foul.
Davis was hacked there by Jaden Dawson.
Plenty of time for the Spartans. And this is all set up by a great head fake. Take a look right there. Dawson thinks he's going to get the block from behind. And it's like trying to hit a curveball right there. You think you're going to hit fastball, and then the shot fake is the curveball, and it throws the defender off. You swing and miss. Or in this case, you swing and make contact.
Right.
Sean B. loves when I do the baseball analogies, you know. I got to dumb it down for the Cubs announcers.
It's coming up, man.
Yeah.
Baseball is right around the corner. I can't believe this.
It's right around the corner. Of course, there are some Cub fans watching and listening tonight to us. We're watching their Ramblers play.
Davis makes it a 10-point game here, yes. 54-44.
Very manageable comeback opportunity here. A little fake pressure by Davis.
Already 5 team fouls in the second half here for Loyola Chicago, and none so far for San Jose State.
Nice drive.
Quinn.
Nice
Here's the
down.
first.
He is really good downhill, isn't he?
Yes.
Let me ask you this, because you're Mr. A10. I say that affectionately. As Quinn drives the basket, how much of a difference would Justin Moore have made had he not gotten hurt after 9 games?
Well, that's one thing where you think about, you know, this is probably an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah.
Just because it's good for another couple of wins. And in the A10 this year, a couple of wins completely would have changed things for about 5 different teams, to be honest with you.
You're right.
Because the top 6 had a really, really good run. There's 6 teams in this NIT here, along with the VCU, who's in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think at least 6 teams had 20 wins or more. Right?
7 teams had 21. Yeah. It's only 1 of 3 conferences to do that. Wow. The other was the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah. Chris Caputo did a great job of rebuilding George Washington. They'll play in the Crown Tournament. George Mason had a phenomenal year.
Aduje is fouled by Quinn. And no field goals here for San Jose State in almost the last 4 minutes of action as they trail it by 12.
They are getting themselves to the foul line. Watch the downhill drive by Aduje. We talked about a guy that can score outside, inside, plays with toughness.
Well, it might come down to free throws here for San Jose State if they're thinking about trying to get back into this thing, because there's 1 more foul committed by Loyola Chicago, and they'll be shooting free throws for the rest of this game. And right now, San Jose State at the free throw line, 13 of 14 on the night.
Well, they shoot 74% from the line, Mike, so they do a healthy job of getting to the basket. The term, when I talk to some Mountain West coaches this week, that they use is they play downhill. They drive it hard and try to get fouled.
Washington picks up his 3rd here. And not a bad crowd here on hand here tonight, too, for this.
You know, we've had a great time here, man, for 24 hours. It's the first time I've been to San Jose State. I'm a huge football fan of coaches. And to see Dick Vermeil today, to see the information on Dick Vermeil here. Bill Walsh was here.
Well, and these teams are picking it up, too, here as Rapolian misses on the 3. The football program obviously doing much better here now at San Jose State. Basketball we talked about with Tim Miles. And what they do with less is very, very impressive. They don't have the resources like you talked about that many of the other schools, especially in their conference, even have. Rubin on the block. Oh, what a feed inside as Watson to Rubin. That's happened 3 times tonight.
How about Rubin, man? Is he taking advantage of those great dimes? And that's what coach might call a timeout. 5 dunks right now for Miles Rubin. What I love about Miles is he doesn't attempt anything that he's not great at. He blocks shots, he runs, he catches lobs, and he finishes around the hoop.
And he plays composed, too.
Very much so.
Right.
And Coach told us how good a student he is.
3.9 GPA.
Yeah, that's a kid, honestly, he's going to write his own ticket, both during his basketball career and then after.
Wakoria. This is on the three. Viola the rebound, and San Jose State's got to try to pick something up here.
They do. They absolutely do. Right now they're just trading baskets. Got to cut into that 4-point lead. Tons of time left.
No field goals in the last 5 minutes plus. Hall in the spin. Wakoria clamping down on the defensive end, and Rubin has the rebound. Got it knocked out of his hands.
Yep, he wasn't ready.
Hall scores it. It happened by a Duje that got the steal.
Yeah, that time Miles just fell asleep. He didn't realize there was a Spartan behind him. That ball was just ripped out of his hands.
And Coach Valentine wants to talk it over. Timeout, Loyola Chicago. They've led by as many as 14. They lead by 10. We'll be back. 58-48. Loyola Chicago leads it by 10 here. 12 minutes and 40 seconds to play in this second half. And Coach Miles' group, they have won 45 games over the past 3 seasons. That's the most in a 3-year span than they had since 1985 to 88 when they won 46.
Yeah, that's why don't look at their record, man. They are highly competitive. Everybody in the Mountain West knows that. Think about it. As Ramblers really carving it up right now. But Coach of the Year, Jalen Quinn, boy, he's really impressed me tonight off the bench. High energy, 6th man. There he goes again. Look at this.
Gets the steal. This is all coming off the timeout called by Coach Valentine. Here's the free ball now from Jaden Dawson. And it's going to be San Jose State ball. Duje is back in. Quick little break there for Davis. Second half shooting here. 2 of 10 from the field for San Jose State. 7 of 15 so far for Loyola Chicago.
Yeah, Loyola they took control of this game midway through the first half, and they're not relenting right now.
Three ball, that's no good by a Duje. Offensive rebound, the putback. Falls off the front of the rim that time from Nganga. They put it back up and in.
Day-Day Hall right there. Undersized. He's not really a power forward. He's a power wing.
Nice.
Whoa. That young man we mentioned earlier, he's from Minneapolis. He's from Minnesota, Brooklyn Park. And last 3 years he played for is it the Tritons, I believe it is?
You see San Diego.
You see San Diego, which had a phenomenal year.
And this is going over to Loyola Chicago when we return.
Yep, take a look now. Wakoria with a strong finish. That gentleman right there is Jeff Strom. He's been an assistant coach for 30 years. He's got more Final Fours probably than anybody in this building. He was on the staff at Utah back in '98. He spent 5 years with Rick Majerus. Then he went to Marquette with Tom Crean, where he coached a guy named Dwayne Wade. Steve Novak wasn't bad. Travis Diener. You see the list of guys he's coached. He is one of the top basketball minds in college basketball, and he's on that Tim Miles staff. I know Tim is lucky to have him, but Jeff and I go way back. Mountain West days. I was at New Mexico. I was trying to figure out how to beat Rick Majerus. Wasn't easy. And Jeff is a good basketball mind.
Think about some of the list of players that you see to be able to coach those guys, right? What you've learned over the years.
Mike Doliak, Quentin Johnson, guy named Van Horn. How about Andre Miller? Those Utah teams were brutal to play against. I can tell you that firsthand.
Now trying to help this San Jose State team do something that they've only done once before. That's win a postseason game as Duje misses on the three.
They keep going under the screen. They must not think Duje is going to hurt them with the jumper as opposed to the drive, because that's by design. They're not going under the screen by accident.
Well, Duje's shooting is 4 of 13 from the field tonight. 2 of 4 from three-point range, and here comes a steal.
Can Rubin catch him?
Yep. And it's goaltend.
I think that's a good call, but good effort by Ruben. He's anxious to see him run the floor. Remember, if that ball hits the backboard, but watch the steal. Now, Miles has been a little sloppy on a couple of those last possessions. And easy call. What they may do, I didn't see if they signaled for the review, but if there's a review, it's got to happen at the under 8-minute mark. They usually review the basket interference goaltending.
It's got to be called for you to be able to go review it, which they did call it. 11 points for Yap here in this game for San Jose State. On the runner, Des Watson.
You know, they've got a number of guys they can go to, and one thing you love about Watson is he figures out different. That's called a hostage dribble right there, because he had the defender in white on his back and he held him hostage. And then Des is able to get to the basket. Columbus, Ohio native.
Basket scored by Des Watson.
1,000-point scorer, which he did this year, along with his teammate Sheldon Edwards. Had a really nice season for this team, and we said a couple years with Davidson before coming to Loyola Chicago.
And Loyola Chicago is a great university, great academics, obviously. And they've had some moments of incredible basketball history.
Edwards kicks it to the corner. Daniel Glaskov is in now for the first time tonight. Number 5 for the Ramblers. Here's Dawson off the screen. Catch and shoot, no, and a foul on the floor on the rebound in San Jose State.
The Ramblers have made it tough in the second half for anything to come easy for the Spartans. Watch the little double team right here. And great hands by Ruben.
17 foul.
Now they call it on Loyola Chicago, so it's on Glaskov.
Glaskov's a freshman. He's a young man from Russia who Coach Valentine told us before the game very high on his future, except on this veteran team, difficult to get him more than 6 minutes a night on average during the season.
Yeah, they go about 8 deep, and then you think what happens if they had more who got hurt after game 9 this season, be even tougher. It's a really veteran group, and they've also done a good job of retaining players as well, too. That's also got to be the key. We talk about all these people here and there coming in, all this.
Retention,
retention.
Yeah, I know it.
Right?
It's,
that's important.
It's critical nowadays, yep. Sometimes it's not the guys who you don't get that hurt your program. It's the guys that you sign that don't fit you. He fits like a glove. Wow. Wow, man, I've been impressed with this young man. Only a sophomore.
Miles Ruben.
He's like, that's his 6th dunk tonight. They're going to need a maintenance guy out here at the TV timeout to fix that rim.
Heads up, 15-point lead now for Loyola Chicago, and they are starting to take command here. Here is Watson for Edwards. Look out.
I thought it should be money. Come on, Sheldon, you don't miss that shot.
Ruben, another rebound. Watson dribbled it off his left. And it's going to be an easy 2 here for Yap.
And we got a delay of game warning because Yap was slapping it as it went through the net. But he slapped it a little too hard, knocked it away from Loyola. So a very fine official, Crystal Hogan, just gave the home team a delay of game warning. So next one will be a technical foul.
This Loyola Chicago team picked, or they ended up with the 4th seed in the A-10 tournament. Had to go up against the 1 in VCU.
Yep.
Lost in the semifinals.
And you mentioned it, what a year. George Mason was phenomenal. Dayton 22 wins.
George Mason's already in the 2nd round of the NIT. So are the Dayton Flyers, who you just mentioned.
You saw Tony do his magic this year.
Yeah.
He was an outstanding player at George Mason.
It's on that Final Four team in 2006.
Yep. Tony was coach of the year in the A-10, I believe.
He was. And you know, you can attest to this probably. Sometimes when you go back to your alma mater, right, you know, how much more it means, you know, for certain people, right? I mean,
well, not only does it mean more, but you know everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the janitor is probably still there from when Tony, you know, played for Jim Larranaga. But no, there's a comfort level all the way around. When you can find the right guy, which Tony has turned out to be, it's magical to have a former player as your head coach, especially the way he's gotten off to a start. But Fred Hoiberg did it, obviously. Lots of guys have done it. So, but Fred comes to mind at Iowa State. And so, and then Anthony Grant, right? Anthony was a
former Flyer, yeah.
He was a tremendous, Anthony was what I would call a great glue guy for some really good Don Donavan teams in the mid-'80s. And I was a young coach at Ohio U and Ohio State back then. And I remember Anthony. It's no surprise he's had a lot of success.
This Loyola Chicago team trying to be the third Atlantic 10 team to move on to the second round. St. Louis, St. Bonaventure, and St. Joe's are also in. All three lost their first round games.
Yes, and I got to tell you, I saw VCU a bunch this year, and I love BYU. I love them, but that's going to be a street fight.
And I'm a little. I think people should, when they're looking at their bracket, they're an 11 seed. VCU.
Well, that's they're underseeded. Yeah, they're underseeded.
Totally. No way they should be that high. Here's a steal. Donavan Yap, he does it again. Dishes it to Duge.
I'm going to tell you something. If this game turns around for the Spartans, it's going to be Yap. He's not yapping with his mouth. He's yapping with his play. His defense has absolutely got a chance to turn this game around.
And it's got the crowd making some noise here now as well from San Jose.
Absolutely. They're yapping. Donavan Yap. He's getting it done. But Miles Rubin first is throwing it down with authority. Woo!
In the NIT, Fran, you and Roxy Bernstein were just at the Stanford game last night.
We got a burger at Dutch Goose at the Stanford Watering Hole and Burger Place, and then we went over to watch Kyle Smith's team. Kyle's a junkie. He's probably watching this game tonight. Maxime Reynaud, first team All-ACC. Wanted to get a peek at him. He's going to be an NBA draft pick, and very impressed with Maxime last night. Reminds me of the Celtics. Luke Cornett. Not only are they 7-footers who shoot threes, they went to high academic schools. And I got a feeling Maxime's going to play in the league.
No doubt. Here's Dawson. Puts up a three. It's no good. And the rebound, San Jose State. They are trying to make the comeback here.
I think we got a comeback coming. I feel it. And I mentioned Yap's ability to steal that ball a few times.
It was 67-52. It was a 15-point lead for Loyola Chicago. It's down to 10. A little mini 5-0 run here for the Spartans. Yeah. Shot clock, it's down to 2. That's a double clutch and hoist it up. Rebound pulled in by Wakoria.
Boy, Francis Wakoria has given Drew Valentine good minutes tonight. On the backboard, shooting a couple threes.
Deloach hands off to Quinn. Right back to Watson. On the drive this time, and Des Watson's got 20, Frank.
Boy, there was a lot of traffic in there. Guys cutting everywhere. Deloach got out of the way, and Des Watson, we're seeing him score tonight in a variety of ways. They're really pressuring Viola, so he can't become the passer that Tim Miles would like him to be.
Now he's on defense on Hall, and Deloach has the rebound.
I love Deloach. We talked about him playing at Georgia last year. He knows his role. He's given Drew Valentine really good minutes. And he knows the league because he played at VCU to start his career.
About 14 minutes a game, and he's been effective when he's been out there. Here's another steal.
Too sloppy.
Duge, too strong.
Very lucky, the Ramblers, because they're getting a little careless with the basketball.
6 turnovers here in the second half, 11 for the game, just 7 for San Jose State.
And I think that's why Des slowed it down. They're going to try to get into some offense. A lot of holding and grabbing right now. That is just unbelievable.
Deloach lost it. Hall goes up top looking for a Duge. It was deflected and off of him last.
Drew Valentine is beside himself because these are turnovers that are just unnecessary. They have played good basketball, but they're just turning it over. And he's going to go to his bench and make some changes.
All right, so Sheldon Edwards is in with Glasscock, Rubin, Wakoria, and also Des Watson.
And right now, the Ramblers can't stand prosperity. They should be opening up this lead. But they got to be more judicious with the basketball. And in fairness, they don't have a point guard.
Right.
They've been playing without a point. Look at this. This is another turnover. I think you got to stay with the pressure.
Stifling defense here for San Jose State. Can they turn it into points, though? They're still down by a dozen. Yeah. Got it.
They can. Yes, the answer is yes. And if the Ramblers aren't careful right now, this pressure is going to really heat up.
Fran, it's now 18 points off of Loyola turnovers for this Spartans team. Blast up. Watson. Tough fadeaway. Nails it.
He's great right there, man. We told you scoring at all three levels. Good example. He used his body to push that defender back illegally just to create a little separation. That was a big basket.
Had 9 points in the last game in the VCU loss, but prior to that, in the quarterfinal win over St. Louis, a career-high 25. He's got 22 here tonight.
I can see why. He can score. They got three guys that can really get buckets.
On the drive. And a blocking foul. Yeah, referees looked at each other and said, yep.
That's good officiating because you don't want to have one guy call a block, another guy call a charge. You know what we call that? A blarge. And the blarge is the worst thing in officiating because you have to look at the other guy. Who's got the call? Who's area right there? I don't think he was necessarily set. I think the call is a good call. Yep. But one official should have the primary area of the whistle. And oftentimes he'll look at another official, and the guy that's got the primary will take the call.
Brian, you're the best of this, because I know you go to the conventions and the conference. You talk to officials as well, and then so do I often. It's interesting when you really dive into it about the responsibilities on who has the call.
It's like a team.
Right.
It's teamwork.
Yep.
It's like a big guy and a couple guards. It's teamwork.
Right. You're not all out there just blowing your whistle anytime you see it. You have a special area, and it's your call, because if not, you're going to have that kind of situation where you don't want to upstage your teammate.
Sometimes with eye contact, one official sees that the official that should make the call couldn't see it.
Right. Then they got to call.
Then they'll come in and call it. But that was a good piece of work right there.
Yeah, good point. All right, coming up on 4 minutes to go here in round one of the NIT. Loyola Chicago with a 10-point lead. They're going to get the winner, whoever wins this game, the winner of the San Francisco-Utah Valley game. Another steal and takeaway for the Spartans. Aduje goes to the corner. It's a three, Washington. Rebound, Rubin.
Boy, Spartans have had every opportunity. The door's been open a number of times because of the, quite frankly, sloppy play by the Ramblers here.
They struggled from the three-point line, though, in this game, at least in the second half. 1 of 7 from 3.
Another near turnover. Riles Rubin lucky. Let's watch. We're going back and forth. Yap. He's not yapping with his talk. He's yapping with his game. And then Watson, watch this. This is a mid-range pull-up right here. Par excellence. Excellent. Columbus, Ohio, and I know this kid's game well. St. Francis de Sales to Davidson, now at Loyola Chicago. And he's showing you an array of offensive moves tonight. Knocking down threes, straight to the rim, pull-up game. He's got the whole package using that rim. And right now, as we come down the home stretch, he has been a big factor on why this Rambler team's holding on to a 10-point lead. Desmond Watson, I remember his dad, Darryl, was a terrific AAU coach back in the day, and impressed with his son.
Been outstanding, 3 off of his career high, which he said just a couple of games ago. And also 3 assists, which I think have all been to Rubin for dunks.
Yeah.
Inside. Here's Hall on the drive. He gets the bucket. We're down to 8 here.
Oh, there's time. And if I'm the Spartans now, I turn the heat up in the half court. Man, every trip is an adventure right now with that ball handling.
Edwards dumps it inside Rubin. And a foul is called.
That's going to be on the ground. That's only their 15th foul, I believe.
Foul charge to the Spartans, number 6.
So that ball's going to be taken out underneath.
First personal, 15 foul.
It's on Hall. First, as you said, 15 foul.
Yeah, but one thing a young big guy's got to do in pick and roll is roll out of that screen quickly. And in Ruben's case, by rolling out quickly, he's got a chance to always be attacking the rim with that dunk.
Glenn looks to get it in, does so here for Dawson.
They've got time. There it is.
You called it. Oh, he misses on the dunk. Almost.
Man.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yes, and that's what he does. You know, when you're going to set that ball screen, and then let's watch how quickly. Oh, he's already out of it. But I was explaining to you today what a go screen is, right? The go screen is when you go to set the ball screen, but you don't ever set it. You disappear. And when you disappear to the rim. And this young man's done that. He's terrific at that.
The foul was on Hall, his second, 16 foul, but Ruben misses the first free throw. One more here.
It's actually not a bad guy to foul because he's a little bit over 50% in the season.
39-76. Missed them both.
All right, that door is open ajar.
Latrell Davis. Make it.
Boy, how would a three be here?
Well, they have struggled from the three-point line in the second half. 1 of 7.
That means they're due.
Plenty of time here. Davis, step out. There it is. He wants it. He got it. You called it, fan. Latrell Davis on a monster three to cut the lead to 5.
Watch out for the pressure.
It's a 7-0 run for the Spartans. Loyola Chicago is led by as many as 15. It's down to 5. Watson.
Gotta shoot it.
For 3. No. Here's Davis on the drive. And he's going to be fouled by Ruben.
Well, we got a great atmosphere here right now. Watch Davis. He's just sizing up his man. Great step back. And, hey, when you're 1 for 7, you're due. And now they're 2 for 8. But more importantly, they're within 5 with a couple free throws. And I got to tell you, Martin, I did it again. Sorry, Michael. What really, you know, I said this about 8 minutes to go in a game, right? Too much sloppy play by the Ramblers. They turned it over way too much.
No, 100%. There's been 9 turnovers in the second half, and it's just been simple passes that, you know, you got to credit San Jose State, though, for getting their hands into the passing lane and really playing that pressure defense.
But I think what you're going to find out in the last couple of minutes now is where does Drew Valentine go and who can handle the ball, really, honestly, without turning it over.
And this is really one of their most improved players from day 1 until now, Latrell Davis, who cans the free throws. They would have loved to have him be the Mountain West 6th Man of the Year. And this place is really jumping now. The lead is down to 3, under 2 minutes to go. Plenty of time here. It was 67-52. Loyola Chicago. It's a 16-4 run in the last 7 minutes.
Oh,
Edwards threw it away.
Oh.
What is happening here to the Ramblers?
Watch the pressure. We talked about it. We said earlier, if the Ramblers aren't careful, the sloppiness is going to cost them. And basically what he did was throw it to his coach. You know, Coach Valentine over there dressed in black, and as he turned around, he just threw it to the wrong guy.
And Loyola Chicago's only got 1 timeout remaining, and Coach Valentine is going to hold on to that. Here's Davis on the drive, and he is fouled. And all of a sudden, San Jose State has come storming back, and a chance to cut it to 1 at the free throw line.
High pick and roll. They've gotten downhill. There's the foul. Simple high ball screen, and the Ramblers have not been able to corral the ball. And we talked about this earlier. Both teams play well downhill. And Latrell Davis has been really good the last couple minutes.
It's been a 3-minute and 17-second scoring drought for Loyola Chicago, and San Jose State is taking advantage of it. They're doing it at the free throw line. We talked about how effective that needs to be. They're 87% at the line.
Sunday morning, Tim Miles got a call from his athletic director. He said, "You can be in the NIT. Can you put a team together?" And he called his top 3 players, and they said, "Coach, we want to play." And what we've seen in 24 hours is these kids do want to play. And the effort level both ways has been outstanding.
They're trying to win over their second ever postseason game in their history. They're 1-6 all time and just the second NIT.
That's a foul, but it's not a bad foul because Ruben shoots 52%. Let's see if the big fella who just went over 2 can nail a couple.
Now, you're right, Fran. I mean, Viola gets called for the foul, but it's a 1-1 here. Ruben, who just missed 2.
Wonder if he did it on purpose.
Possibly. Maybe preserve clock here with 1:14 to go. Although you're only down by 1, so obviously could have played it out. And they've gotten so many steals. Ruben with a 1-1, and he misses it.
Mike, this place is bananas right now. There's that high pick and roll again.
Davis. No, and Ruben's got it. Almost. Spartans with a 1-point lead. Instead, it stays Ramblers by a point.
I think you got to use a little clock, but you can't give up too much clock. You need a good shot. There's a lot of contact here. That's a foul.
Yes, you called it. Both ways. Aduje is called for the foul, and it's going to be Des Watson. That is a perfect 4 for 4 at the free throw line tonight to go back to the line. It's a 1-1 still.
Let me tell you what's going on the other end. They're setting a ball screen so far out towards midcourt that when the ball handler comes off the screen, there's so much room downhill.
Yep. It's a 1-1 for Des Watson. Yeah, for the longest time, we thought that Loyola Chicago was going to pull away in this game here. They had a 15-point lead, and all of a sudden, they are kind of sweating it out now.
Well, if they win or lose, the one thing that we're going to know is in the last 10 minutes, they did not value the ball the way they needed to.
Substitution coming in here as Watson cans the free throw. Quinn is in for Edwards.
Now, what you got to keep in mind if you're Loyola is you're going to try to get a stop, obviously. If you get a stop and Ruben gets the rebound, he's got to get rid of it to a guard who can make free throws.
Your San Jose State, tons of time. You don't even need a
no, you're going downhill right now. There's probably going to be a high ball screen. And here comes Viola, and it's going to be a downhill drive.
Yap's got it. Hands it off for Hall, gets it back. Back to Hall.
You almost want him to play downhill now so you don't give up the 3.
Comes off the screen. Hall thought about it. Get it back to Yap. 8 to shoot. Donavan Yap. Back to Hall. This is a 3 for the tie. No. Offensive rebound, Davis.
I think you got to think about fouling soon. You got to think about fouling.
6 seconds to go. Yap. San Jose State down by 3. 5 seconds. Yap. Hoists it up. No, and that's it. The game is over. No foul is called, and Loyola Chicago escapes.